That's earthquake days. So we're right over this fault line, and we get about 10 earthquakes a year. You don't feel them because they're so small, and the ground beneath us is really, really soft. It's alluvial soil. But there was a really big one in 1886, and that's what caused that. So, gorgeous interior though. I got a lot of pictures that are really, really pretty. So, yeah, there's a guy that drives around in a truck with a power washer and looks for those markers. Yeah, definitely an important job. So the Powder magazine, that's the oldest public building in the city, built in 1713. It's amazing to me that they were 300 years old because and a gunpowder storage facility is not the safest building ever, but the walls are 3 feet thick. It has a really thin roof that was filled with sand. So if it did explode, it would literally blow up and back in on the side of the house. Protect the neighbors. Pretty clever. And there used to be several of those scattered throughout the peninsula, but yeah, it was out of necessity, but they came up with some pretty clever ways of protecting the city. Charleston's dealt with a lot of disaster. Like, right now we're going through the oldest part of town, but you wouldn't be able to tell because there's nothing old around us. And usually if you see a building that doesn't fit in, what was there before burned down. So fire really eclipses everything else as far as damage goes, because everything's just so crammed in together. But mainly it's because we're on a peninsula, so we get this breeze all the time. It's nice for the heat, but not great for fire. There's a fire that came through here in 1861 and burned out 540 acres. It just cut a swath across the whole town. Really bad timing too, because the fire was in December of 1861. The Civil War started right over there the previous April. But the fire had nothing to do with the war. It was a campfire at the market next to a factory where they made window sashes and curtains.
Get pictures, there's nothing.
Well, yeah, I'm actually taking a movie.
Oh.
Filming. Film at 11.
Yeah, that's true as well. The other thing about him is he's got 2 shoes. He's got the standard metal ones and the other vulcanized rubber underneath. And that's cushioning and also traction, so they don't slip on the pavement. That didn't work right there.
I walk over to this bank, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What hotel is this one?
This is a Days Inn.
Oh, okay.
Goes all the way back to 1968. Yeah, there's nothing very historic around here. We're still chasing that fire. The weird thing about that fire, though, is if it hadn't happened, that really would have upped the odds for William to come to Sherman to pay the town a visit. He would have burned everything down. Instead of coming here, he went to Columbia, South Carolina. Destroyed Columbia, but people thought he was coming here. He goes from Atlanta to Savannah and takes Savannah and then starts coming up the coast. And everybody in Charleston, they gather up all their expensive stuff that they don't want to lose. And they ship everything inland to Columbia. He goes there instead, steals everything. But the Charleston still stands. Oh, yeah, right. There's a most likely he buried a lot of British sterling. Yeah, people are still looking for it. Yeah, this has always been the main commercial area in the city because this is the highest elevated street.
Were they expensive antiques or did somebody? Oh, that's
The British were there first. And in the 1640s, they're making all this money from sugar. So you got all these sugar plantations in Barbados, and it gets congested and not a lot of room for growth. So they're eyeing areas nearby, which Charleston certainly is. And in England, in the 1640s, you got King Charles I on the throne, and he made a lot of enemies. He dissolved Parliament, which led to their civil war, and that's when Oliver Cromwell and the Puritans swoop in and take over. And they put King Charles I sort of on trial. They really just managed to chop his head off. His son, Charles II, leaves, but he comes back and he reclaims the throne with the help of these 8 guys that were friends of his father, had a lot of political power. They were businessmen. I guess the most notable one was named Lord Anthony Ashley Cooper, which was after the Cooper Rivers are named after. So in exchange for their help, they get this. These 8 guys get this land grant, Caroline, which used to be huge. Everything south of Virginia, because Jamestown had already been there since 1607. All right, but everything north of around where Orlando would be today, and then everything west to the South Sea. So when they sent over settlers in 1670, it was to scope the area out, see how they were going to make money. It was always about money, which does make Charleston kind of unique in that it wasn't a voyage of discovery, and they weren't political exiles. They certainly weren't trying to start a new Jerusalem. It was the 17th century version of big business. This used to be the gate for the Quaker church cemetery. The Quakers, they were among the first people to come to Charleston, but they were the first people to leave. They hated this. They were here for like 6.5 hours. Quaker? The reason that they didn't like Charleston is because, well, you know, it's a big port town, there's a lot of debauchery going on, and they were very anti-slavery. And Charleston, at the very beginning, slavery existed because they transferred the plantation system from Barbados, and in Barbados in 1670, the population was 50,000, 30,000 of those were slaves. Sort of foreshadows of Charleston would become. And the reason that there are so many churches here, the same reason why the Quakers came in the first place, was that's the Cathedral St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, I love that. Is because they didn't care what you worshiped.
yeah.
Just bring in money.
The Catholic Church.
Yeah.
They did have one exception. They didn't let Catholics until after the Revolution. But that was because there was still this big rift
You see
between
that
England and the
church
Catholic
in
Church
your
Yeah.
window.
and
Don't-
France.
I have lots of
and
pictures of
Spain.
it.
After what year Catholics could come?
As soon as the Revolution was over. And then you had a big influx of Catholics after that. Broad Street, you know, it's been kind of a divide in the city.
Hello? Hey, Canterbury
Hey.
House. Does he live with us? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once you get south of Broad, that's when the breeze picks up and it gets quieter.
They hate you, don't they, the traffic?
Yeah.
Fire.
Oh, is it fire?
Yeah.
How's that?
Oh, you need this and you need this. Hold on a second.
In the early 1700s, that's when they found the first major
just-
cash
No, 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 no.
crop,
Look at
rice.
this.
So rice really built
There we
this
go.
out. And they would hire botanists to bring in specimens of plants and flowers that look pretty and can grow here. And lots of stuff can grow here. So the crepe myrtles were brought in from Southeast China.
That's
And they did so well here, they started spreading out
It
throughout
is.
the rest of the country. So the crepe myrtles were introduced to the country through Charles. You'll see some really big ones here.
Oh my goodness.
So the design of all these these narrow houses. They call them Charleston singles. And
Yes.
it's a practical design. I know when I first moved here, they told me that they're narrow because they used to tax you on the amount of property that's facing the street, but they didn't. They found out that if you make a narrow house and you put it right next to another one, but you leave a little bit of space in between them, you get a wind tunnel effect. And the breeze cuts back and forth. Sure. So you see the discs on the sides of the building. That big 1886 earthquake, had there been a Richter scale, they think it would have been somewhere around a 7.3. So really big. Yeah, and when you've got this soft ground, if it's a small earthquake, it's a good thing because it absorbs the shock. But if it's a really big earthquake, it's a terrible thing because everything liquefies. So you just get waves of land rolling down the street, picking up everything up and throwing it back down.
What did you say the black things were?
They're called
Look at those
earthquake
up.
bolts.
Earthquake bolts. Okay.
There was a plant growing out of the wall.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right, there's a pole that runs all the way through the
Yeah.
house and holds it together.
Mhm.
What those are.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's pretty clever in its simplicity. It's got a metal tie rod going to the floor and a turnbuckle on the inside, and you crank the turnbuckle a little bit over a long period of time, and it pulls the house back together and straightens it out. So yeah, you'll see those. I mean, if you see those, it was built before 1896. And in this area, almost all these buildings were built between 1730 and 1760. There's one exception. That was built in 2000.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a single family home.
Really?
From here on out, these are all,
Single family?
yeah,
Wow.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's actually on the market.
Probably 2 people living there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for sale. Let's buy it, guys.
Yeah, let's do
It's
it.
3.8 million.
Oh, is that all?
That's it.
That's not bad.
Imagine the upkeep.
Yeah, it's just that there's no historic value.
Yeah.
But good with the upkeep.
We saw one for sale. 15 million and like a student farm.
Yeah.
I don't even know where that is.
There's one on. There are a couple of houses that go back whole blocks, but there's one on Legree Street that I think that one was on 18. These windows. I love the window boxes on that house.
I'm gonna go sit in the court.
Those. Because you have your windows open all the time. So you'd plant really fragrant flowers there, and then the breeze would waft in the scent. They've got the hand-blown glass in the windows.
Got irrigation in that.
Hi. Lady.
Me too, thank you.
And another common feature of these homes are the side doors, the doors that look like they would go into the house, but they don't. They're privacy doors. So,
The sign on that back. It said
yeah, from May to September, I mean, you're living out there, you're sleeping out there, the door's closed, you're not accepting guests, but also, it would be considered really inappropriate to look onto their piazza. Door was closed.
Beautiful flowers.
This one, they're trying to get permission to tear it down.
This one?
Oh, no.
Why?
It's not particularly old. It was built in the early 1960s. And like they did just tear down a house that was here that was built in 1954. It didn't really fit
That's
in.
new too?
Yeah, that's brand new. I don't even know if it's that one goes back a whole block. Goes back So they'll do that sometimes. They'll let you tear a building down if it doesn't fit in the way they want it to, and then rebuild it. They have to approve the blueprint.
I'm surprised more of the piazzas
There's
are
one for sale.
screened in.
Yeah, you don't.
No, barely, because I see
seen it.
that. That's very unusual.
What street are we on right now?
This is King Street.
Oh,
Yeah, so King Street's all residential once you get south. love this house here.
That is too.
Gorgeous.
The design of that, it's called a Charleston double. It's 2 rooms wide, and the front door is aligned with the back door, and the windows are aligned with the windows in the back, so you open everything up, get all this cross ventilation.
Yeah, wonderful.
And then this is an old carriage house.
Front to the back.
That looks old. Oh,
Yeah.
very old.
Yeah,
Wow. Did it go to this house?
exactly.
Oh
yeah, so
my
that used to be the carriage house.
Do you know who lived there?
Miles Bruton, he built it in 1769, and actually after a couple of years, he went out to sea on vacation with his family, and they disappeared. So his sister inherited the house, and it was Rachel Mott, and it's been in the same family since 1769.
Wow. Wow.
Oh yeah, it used to have this gorgeous, huge garden in the back, but they parceled it out. Actually, a lot of these houses have really big gardens, but you can't see them from the street.
One of the earliest wooden houses in Charleston.
I think all these places I'd like to visit, and I
That's
think.
one of the earliest wooden houses, that one is.
Yeah, you know,
Oh my
there's,
goodness.
there are lots of tricks you can use to date buildings aside from the earthquake bolts. And one of them is if it has wood siding, like this one up here. There's see how there's that beading below each running board, the little line.
Yeah.
Sawmills stopped using that method around 1800, 1810. So if you see that on a house, you can. It's a pretty safe bet that it was built around or before 1810. And there's a really good chance it had the original siding.
Wow.
The wood, bald cypress, it's really durable, it's very oily, and termites won't touch it. Can't digest the tan. Yeah. Yeah, so, it doesn't have a sign for the date, but you can Now, they get a little bit, they tend to get newer as you head south as people expand towards the water. Like this crepe myrtle, and that's probably 150 years old.
Wow.
Pretty big one,
Now, most of these gates and fences are built by, what was his name?
Philip Simmons,
Yeah.
we've done over 600 pieces of ironwork around. We'll pass on it. Yeah, most of the ironwork that's been done over the past 75 years. He worked in raw iron. You'll see a lot of cast iron around too. Using mold.
What are you saying, the gates are more recent? than-
If you see an iron gate that's recent, then you can probably attribute it to Phillips.
How would you tell if it was recent?
There are some little tricks. Usually, I mean, they tend to just look new, but also the design. Yeah. So you see like it almost looks like an upside down heart on it. It became a very Charleston style.
Got a nice breeze now.
Yeah, so here's the battery. This is all landfill that was filled in to be a park. 1820s. The houses are angled because the tip of the peninsula is over here, so the breeze comes this way. And a lot of them are summer homes. You'd come here to escape the heat a little bit because you get the breeze, but also malaria was a really big problem, and the breeze keeps the mosquitoes away. And they didn't know that mosquitoes caused malaria, but they thought that the marsh air was poisonous, and the breeze kept that away. So